Right. So as for our next session, it's another online resource, but somehow differs from the conventional online resources as it primarily takes the form of quantitative data about the market and various sectors or industries. Okay. So allow me to introduce our presenter for this session. So she has a business degree from Glasgow Caledonian University and brings forth over 6 years of sales experience with a background in tech since using it extensively during university. She has been familiar with Statista and is on a mission to help universities get acclimated with making the best of this platform. So let's all welcome Ms. Sonia Tan. Afternoon, Sonia.
Hi, thanks for the warm welcome. Maybe I'm happy to be here today. Let me get right into it. So let me share my screen and please let me know if you're able to see it. So yeah, my name is Sonia and I'm the sales manager for Statista. So, sorry, just to check, are we able to see the screen?
We sure can, Sonia.
All right, great. So yeah, the UP system has subscribed to Statista recently, so I'm happy to share more about the data sets today. So a little bit about Statista. We are a data company. So what we want to do is to be a one-stop shop. So you can spend more time on analyzing as opposed to searching for data. So on the Statista platform, we have over 1 million statistics that we gather from 22,500 sources. So the data that we have covers about 80,000 topics across 170 industries. So everyone wants to be the Netflix of something, but you can think of Statista as a Netflix, but for market research. So not only are we the biggest data aggregator, but we also come up with our own internal content. And then again, we will tell you where all the data comes from so you know that the data is reliable and trustworthy. So a little bit more about the data. About half of the data comes from our research team, so it's Statista exclusive content. And about 16% comes from data partnerships. So we work with this is open access data. So it's anything relating to government reports on census, white papers that has been published, and about 35% is from data partnerships with firms that we work with, including Simmons, Deloitte, PwC, Nielsen, and so on. So let me hop on to the platform. So this we are parked on the, I'll use UP Diliman as an example. So you can simply access the database via your Open Athens or via this, if you're on campus, you just click in, you don't even need to sign in. So I'll use my account for an example that it's the same across all of these. So Statista uses a very, very simple keyword-based search term, and we cover, again, many different industries as well as sub-industries. So for example, today you would like to do a study on e-commerce. So this, just type in your search term, and this is everything that we have relating to the blue statistics here. The orange ones, which are studies and reports. We have green expert tools, that is data that gives you an interactive way of looking at data, as well as other related tools as well. So you can easily toggle the search accuracy of the data. You can filter it by region, or if you're looking specifically, say for, let me see, Philippines data today, you can easily toggle it. You can filter it by different industries, for example, or even toggle through the publication dates. So we do have older and even archival data, but it depends on what kind of data you're looking for. So click on the refresh search button, and this is everything that we have relating to e-commerce in the Philippines, for example. So this looks at the leading social commerce products, the e-commerce websites, and so on. So when you click in, you can see our statistics all have a very similar look and feel. So this one looks at the leading e-commerce websites, but if you want you to view other related statistics, you can easily sort through over here. So for example, today I want to look at the number of Facebook users worldwide. So again, it's a similar look and feel. And over here on the right-hand side, you have all the buttons that you need to help with your research. So you can choose to view the statistics in a few different types of presentation formats, depending on which one is easier for you. You can also share the data, and this is a really, really helpful function because we have it available for citation in 5 different formats. So we have it in APA, Chicago, Harvard, MLA, as well as Blue Book. So we save a lot of time. You just copy and paste, and that is settled. So what we want to do at Statista is to help you save a little bit more time on research. So you have the easy option to download it as either a PDF file, an Excel file, image file, or file, even a PPT file. And when you go over here at the bottom, you get where the data comes from. And so in this case, this is from Facebook, also known as Meta. And in most of the cases, we will link you to the source link where we gathered the data from. So you don't have to dig through about 20 pages of Meta report just to look for this. We do that for you, and we give you full access to it, so including full publication rights and use of it for depending on how you want to present your data. So there is a short write-up at the bottom here that gives you a bit more idea about what is covered under a little bit more about the statistic. And you have easy access to other related statistics over here. So social media, Facebook users, and other related reports. So apart from that, Statista also has reports, which is essentially a compilation of different statistics. So on the Statista platform, you have access to over 20,000 reports in our database, and they are all free with the campus account that your library has subscribed to. So the reports are broken down into 6 different major market categories. So if today you want to have a look a little bit more into the different types of industries we have, this one gives you more information about markets and industries. So it's essentially a way for you to kind of get smart quickly on any particular topic. So again, you have the easy option to filter it by different countries and regions. So for example, I want to look at, say, data on the Philippines today, I can easily do so. Or you can choose to filter it by different industries again, or even the types of reports. Or you can alternatively choose to search, type in your search request here, and we'll get what we can for you. So this is everything that I have relating to Philippines market. So if we click in, like for example, we're going to have a look at the healthcare industry in the Philippines for today. This will give you a dossier on everything that we have relating to this. And again, it's free of charge with the campus subscription, so you don't have to pay a thing. You can download it as many times as you like, and you can full republication rights as well. Use it as you wish. So the table of contents give you an idea. Download one quickly before I start of what's covered inside this report. So if you've had a look and you think that this is something that you may find helpful for your research, then click to download it. You have it available in 2 different types of presentation formats. So depending on how you want to analyze or how you wish to use the data. So this one I downloaded in a PDF file, and it looks something like this. So there's about 80 pages of data that we have, about 40-ish pages of data we have relating to healthcare in the Philippines. And you can easily jump into any of these segments from the table of contents, or you can just scroll down. So just to get an idea of like how many hospital beds are in the Philippines, for example. So all of our statistics, we will list down where we gathered the data from. So in this case, it's from Philippines, this is from UP, and you can also depends on what you're looking at. So if you want, you can click into the last page here, where we have more information about the source and methodology, as well as a description about this particular statistic. And you can visit the website to get access to all of the things that I've shown you just now. So essentially, Statista, we are again we are a multidisciplinary tool. So it's not just business data that we cover, but we also cover data on, say, agriculture, on construction, on economy, internet, life, and media, and so on. And if you want information about any of these data, you can always click in, where you'll be taken to a cover page where this contains everything that Statista has on, say, retail and trade, for example, and you can even zoom into any of these smaller subsegments. So that was a very quick summary of statistics and reports, which essentially gives you an overview of the data. We also have outlooks, which is the data that Statista comes up with, and it gives you an interactive way of looking for information. So let me show you what I mean. The outlooks cover 8 major market categories. And if, for example, let's take digital outlook as an example, this will give you up-to-date market figures on digital economy market. So we look at e-commerce, we look at digital health, app, fintech, and so on. And when you click on the market directory, you have it broken down into smaller subcategories. So for example, your digital media, You have it broken down into games, into video, into publishing, and even music. And music, you have it broken down into streaming versus downloads. So maybe let me use e-commerce as an example. So this gives you some of the key figures of the e-commerce market worldwide. So you look at your revenue, the growth rate, and projected market volume, and so on. And there is a market definition that tells you clearly what is defined under e-commerce. So if you don't want to read all that, we have an in and out scope that immediately at a glance you can see. If you're looking for data on B2C, you can refer to this Outlook. But if you're looking for, say, B2B or resale or something like relating to Craigslist, then you might need to look at the other types of reports we have on our database. We'll link you to related reports as well to give an additional, give more information in addition to what you have managed to find on the platform. And you have the easy option to download it in Excel as well as CSV file for your easy export. Let me download one just to quickly show you. You have the option to cite it again as well as share it via email and some more key figures over here. So this is at the e-commerce market, but the data on Statista's platform covers not just worldwide data, but for example, if today you want to zoom in on any particular region, so for example, ASEAN, or maybe DAC, or maybe Asia as a whole, or like just Central Asia, Southeast Asia, you can easily do so. Or we have about 152 countries and territories in our database just for you to easily access. So if today you would want to dive into maybe say data, e-commerce data on the Philippines, you can easily do so. And you have the easy option to compare it across these 4 different markets, as well as to change the currency rates. So all of it is mainly USD, but you have the option to toggle it if that's what you wish to. So this looks at the revenue of the e-commerce market in the Philippines. So it covers beverages, fashion, furniture, toys, media, food, electronics, as well as beauty. But if today your research only focuses on fashion versus maybe food versus maybe electronics, then you can easily do this toggle. Just click on the data to show or hide it, and you can view it again, play around with how you want to visualize the data, how you want to showcase your data. Again, you can choose to download it. You can easily jump into any of the other segments. So this looks at the revenue per user, the analyst's opinion, the sales channel, which is further broken down into online versus offline split, and mobile and desktop. So for Statista's outlooks, right, we want to give you that option to play around with how you want to view data. And if you look at, like we even include the demographics tab as well as a global comparison that looks at the top 5 revenue in terms of e-commerce worldwide. But if you're interested, you can easily kind of hover over these individual countries just for their own rates. Or if you want, you can toggle across the years so you can visualize it how you want to. We include the methodology that includes how we gathered the data from. And there is also a full methodology report just so that you have an idea, because this is something that Statista's researchers come up with. We want you to know how we gathered the results, the data essentially. And we include the key market indicators that gives an overview of socioeconomic outlook, and it covers data gathered such as the population, the household, and telecommunication, ICT spending, and so on. And it covers a period of about 40 years from 2000 to 2040. So we gather the data that's on here from IMF, World Bank, UN, and Eurostat, so you don't have to do all that. So you can easily jump into any other market categories or very frequently selected regions. So let's have a look a little bit more over here. So all the data in our outlooks, right, we try to cover a span of about 10 years. So you're looking at data from about 2013 or 2015 onwards to about 2025. So anything before, because this was updated just a few months back in December, anything before 2021 is based on historic research, and anything after this year is based on the forecasting. So again, you can refer to the methodology just for the idea of how we gathered the data. But let me show you how it looks like. So this was all tabulated up. It was all in a nice, easy read chart format. But I also downloaded in an Excel file. Let me see if it will load today. And this is how it looks like. Just a second. Yep. So we give you all the raw data what I've shown you just now. So you can easily use the data as you wish, just export, import, use it in accordance with whatever data tabulation software that you need to use at the moment. So we also include the number of users and even the global comparison table that gives you all 152 countries tabulated. So we also have, let me quickly show you the compare function. So you can easily compare it across 4 other regions. So for example, you want to compare the inquiries market across Philippines, across Indonesia, and maybe let's see across Thailand, for example. You just select the data that you would like to compare across, and it will take a little while to load. And this gives you a nice, easy comparison across these 4 different markets. So everything that I've looked at, the revenue change, the sales channel, demographics, and so on, we give it to you in a nice, easy to read format. So you can easily zoom in to any, so just looking at food, for example, just looking at furniture, and again, play around with how you want to visualize the data. So this was just a quick summary of the outlooks. We also have other related tools which hopefully would help with your research. So we have infographics that give you visualized stories. So this is a nice addition to, like, because sometimes you're so overwhelmed with the amount of data. So this gives you, like, if you're interested in NFTs, you can easily click in for more information, just key trends, key stories that we visualize for you. So you can see at a glance, like for example, how many percent of respondents from all these countries say that they have follow any religion. So this is based on what kind the survey that we've done across Statista, which I will walk you through in a little while. We for the infographics, we also give you some key write-up over here, and you have the easy option to play around. Like, so you can download the table, and you can share it, and you can also cite it in case you need to do so. For Statista, we also have one last tool that hopefully helps your, I hope I'm not too overwhelming, but hopefully this helps more with your research as well. So we have a publication finder, which I think a lot of you are familiar with, Google Scholar. So you don't even need to exit the Statista platform just to access this. It gives you a different set of filters. So you can choose to sort through, maybe, for example, you want to look at FMCG data today. You can filter through what types of report you're looking at, and like how many pages, the publication year, amount of charts you would like the report to have, and where the data comes from. So you can easily toggle through the source of it, and even like what type of publishing it's done. So for example, you only want commercial FMCG data published by the media press. This is what we have. So we'll dig through about 4 million documents on the World Wide Web just to come up with what we have. And you can always click in just for that more information, just in addition to what has already you have been able to find on the Statista platform. So we also have the global survey, which is essentially we visualize, we allow you to kind of see the global perspective on worldwide behavior and media usage. So the global survey is essentially the foundation of how we gather the data for the outlooks. So you can see what I mean here. So when you start your research, you have the option to select across about 56 countries and territories that we've done our research in. And it includes a lot of countries, especially Asian countries such as China, such as Indonesia, Malaysia, of course, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, and so on. So let's dive into the Philippines market today. You can see that we've been updating this our survey across since 2020, and essentially this is a survey that we did in Philippines in 2 languages, and we managed to reach out to about 2,000 respondents. So the methodology gives you a bit of idea about what we cover in this survey, because it's something that we have conducted. And you can see like what kind of countries and territories we cover, what kind of data we gathered, and a little bit more idea about how we did up the research design. And this is the survey that we get respondents to answer. So you can click onto it for more information, but let me show you how it's like when it's on the platform. So it gives you a nice, easy way to visualize data. So for example, your research today focuses on respondents' attitudes towards traveling, and maybe say personal finances, and maybe you want to know about their marketing, how they feel about online advertising as well. So this, you can select all of this and it'll appear in the rows on the bottom. So you can see in Philippines how many percent of respondents say they will use your smartphone as a guide during traveling, or like how many percent say that for finances wise, how many percent say that they are well informed about their financial situation. So this is a nice, easy way to get data on not just the whole Philippines, but if today you want to compare across other countries, we include the comparison function because you have, like, understandably, it's so hard to get even your friends to get to do. So this not only gives you data on Philippines as a whole, but you can even compare across like cross Greece, even like for Ireland, like you can compare up to a few different countries and you can see the difference between these different responses. So how many percent say that they don't mind advertising if they get free content in return, and you see it's a little similar across all these countries. And if you want another way to visualize data, you can easily do so. So you can toggle around with how you want, be it a heat map or bars. You can see the absolute data that gives you the actual number of respondents, how many actually responded this, and the total share also, or just like if today you want to do a cross tabulation, so maybe you can add in some demographics. So you want to find out maybe like is it their like if the respondents' gender, their age group, or their living situation, their education, employment, and so on. You can easily do so. So let me use a simple one just to show you. So maybe I'll cross tabulate against the respondents' age. So you can see there's maybe a slight difference between respondents of different age groups. So how many percent would say like maybe using smartphones? You can see that slight discrepancy between respondents of different age groups. And if you can visualize it in different ways, so you can choose the heat map. So yeah, the global survey gives you an interesting way of looking at data. So it's not just like it's not one dimensional. You can even add in target groups as well. So in case your survey only focuses on, say, any particular demographics, or like if, for example, you're looking for someone specifically, are you looking to target, like, say, people who are have a master's or doctorate, then you can easily just toggle the search filters and you add it in, and this will look at purely this the respondents in this demographics. So I think that's about it for what I have to show today. I hope it wasn't too much or too fast, but I will look forward to elaborating a little bit more, hopefully in the comments, if you guys have any questions. Thank you so much.
All right, so thank you for that comprehensive and in-depth presentation, Sonia. So we actually have a couple of questions. So
All right.
let me just share my Slido screen. So for a moment.
Of course.
All right, so there we go. I hope you can see it, Sonia.
Yeah, I have.
All right. So first, I tried logging into Statista using my UP email, but it prompts me to contact university staff for access.
I don't think that you need to log in via the UP email, because from my understanding, UP has the remote access. So like what I've shown you just now, be from the library site, you can easily just use your Open Athens. I think you should be able to access it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, you should be able to get in from there. So if you're still having any issues, please do reach out to the librarians, or like if you can email me, I'll be happy to help as well. Oh, that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. So
Right.
if you have trouble using your UP mail in accessing Statista, contact the librarian in your university. I tried just a few moments ago in the Diliman campus, and it's completely working. All
Because on
right.
campus you don't have to log in through Open Athens, but if you're off campus, you need to log in via the Open Athens site. And I think, yeah, if you're having any troubles, please do let us know as well.
Right. Okay. So moving on. Does Statista have microdata, for example, disaggregated by specific geographic areas in a country, particularly for economic and healthcare data?
For the data and statistics platform, we are I wouldn't say we are very granular. We provide a more like well-rounded view on things. So it's more of as a whole. So particularly if like for industries such as economic and healthcare, we understand that there is this demand for it, but we are still working on providing more. Like we do provide very frequent updates as well to address the next questions as well. But like for the data, just to be a little bit more specific, we have about 100-ish to 300 statistics that we update every single day. But if for others like reports, we'll try to update a new type of report every at least twice a year. So the data is updated like we do have new data on every single day, but it wouldn't really be a particularly granular, micro or granular.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
think.
moving on. How often does Statista update the data? So I think this is a very relevant and important question.
Mm-mm. So yeah, the data on statistics is updated every single day, about 100 to 300 every day. And reports and outlooks wise, it is at least you're looking at twice a year. But if it's for more like upcoming outlooks and reports, we do try to update it as much as we can because sometimes our data is dependent on our data partners. So in some cases, like for example, Philippines, we get some of our data from the Bangko Central, and if they only have a yearly update on their reports, then we would only be able to update it once a year. So yeah, I think
Yeah, right. So I
right.
guess it's safe to say that the data in Statista is up to date every day. So based on
Yes.
what Sonia has mentioned. All right. So moving on. So how to download statistic apps, or are you pertaining to the Statista app itself?
I don't think we have an no, we don't have an
So
app.
you
No,
don't
it's just
have.
not
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry. So just doesn't have an app. So it's login, it's accessible easily via again, you can go to statista.com, or if you're on your library website, you can search for us via there. So it's accessible via computers or mobile, but we don't have an app, unfortunately.
All right. So understood. So Statista doesn't have any app, but you can access the online subscription itself through Open Athens as long as you have your UP mail. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So moving on. Does Statista have election-related data, in particular the Philippine elections?
Philippines, we do have some data relating to elections, but depends on what you're looking at. So for Philippines wise, we have a few statistics. So you can search on the database just for more information.
All right, so I guess it's just very important to try and search,
Yeah.
enter the proper keywords or search terms in the search box.
So a little bit more about our search terms, or you can
Yeah,
easily because it's keyword based, right? So it's not like Google where you type up
yeah.
how many numbers of registered voters are there in the Philippines. So for example, if you're looking for election data, you just type in election, and you can either sift through the data yourself, or you can use the search terms to kind of filter through. So hopefully that helps.
All right, so thanks for that clarification. All right, so I think this is another issue about access. So first and foremost, contact your librarian. So in your university library, regardless of the campus. Okay.
Mm.
So next,
Thanks for that.
I wasn't able to follow the color coding part of the data
Oh,
at the end, depending on the
sorry.
percentage, if I'm
I
right.
think that was, yeah, I kind of skimmed through that a little bit, but if you don't mind, maybe I could share my screens
Okay.
and then yeah, I'll go through that in a little bit more because we for our global survey, there's so many ways to play around with the data. I can spend a whole hour talking about it, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But if like for example, I'll use one of these as an example. So this you can toggle through this little filter button over here. So you can toggle the absolute data, which gives you the number of respondents, or like even the total share of respondents, or like the bars and the heat map gives you a different way of visualizing the data, which is a lot more helpful, I'd say. If maybe you want to cross tabulate it across, I'll use maybe this as an example. So you push it up into the columns to cross tabulate and see like you can visualize it a lot easier. So like how many percent of female respondents would look for special offers when shopping as opposed to, like this is it at a glance. You also have the option to easily export it. I mentioned it just now. So in case you need to gather the raw data. So I hope that answers your question. I think I'll stop my sharing now.
All right. So moving on with our question. So okay, so once again, let me just
Yeah,
share my
sorry about that.
Slido. Right. All right. So this question is in Russian, so we really can't understand it. So maybe you can input that this particular question in English. So I guess we could skip this. We can move. All right. So I think this one is a technical issue. You will receive an email from us. Otherwise, please contact the university staff to request access, and no email was received. So I think this is also on the end of our librarians if they didn't manage to answer your email. So maybe you can send them an email once again or directly message them through their Facebook page.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you
Um,
so much. Yeah.
yep. All right. So moving on. Are Statista data citable? So for example, in article publications, is there a format per data set? Okay, so that's an interesting question.
Yeah, with the campus license that the UP system is subscribed to, you have full access and full publication rights. So this includes the citation as well. So I briefly mentioned just now that we have 5 different citation options that I highlighted during the presentation. So you don't even need to think about how you want to cite because it's published on Statista from a secondary source, perhaps. So we do that for you already for all of the data that you need to cite. And would you like me to? Is it okay if I share my screen again?
Yes, of
To
course, go ahead.
yeah, then
No problem, Sonia.
yeah, sorry about that. I keep going back and forth with you, but I'm happy to be answering all these questions because sometimes it is a little bit confusing to navigate the site. So we have this little button over here, so you can click on it to easily cite um cite any of the sources. So just copy and paste. So it's the same across for the reports, right? If you're looking at any, I'll simply click on any types of report, for example. You can download a report, and then when you have the option, like you can cite it, you can use the button also. So I think it will oops, sorry, I think I clicked on it a bit too fast, but it is a similar function where it'll take you back to the statistics page where you have the citation button over here. And for the outlooks, right, you also have almost all of the data has a citation button. So you save that bit of time now. So this is how the citation for the outlooks look like and the infographics as well. And the global survey, we will list down when you download it as an Excel file or as a PPT file. There will be a small citation, small citation source and the source where at the bottom of the box. And I think, yeah,
Right.
that's about
So
it. Yeah.
thank you for clearing that out, and I think it's very necessary and important to have those citation buttons, functions, and features
Mm.
nowadays, regardless of their
It
any
does really
subscription.
help to save a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah, for
time.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. So that's about it for our Slido. So let me just take a step back and look at our chat box.
All right.
All right. All right. So I think I received the personal message, but I think I'll address it later on, and it's simply once again about access. Okay. So I guess that sums it up, Sonia. So we're very delighted to have Statista to be part of our online subscriptions, and this would actually ensure our researchers, our faculty, and students a wide array of
Mm.
quantitative data, infographics, and visual data. So again, thank you, Sonia. So do you want to add anything else?
No, thank you so much for all your questions, and it was nice. I hope that you guys find Statista useful for your research, and thank you so much for having me today. Thank you so, Katie.
All right. So thank you once again, Sonia, and we'll see you in the future.
All right, see ya.
See ya.